So as I was saying, this area here is the Havar tech facility. So Adam and his team, he's playing on the Terran Republic team right now, are going to try to capture this from the new conglomerate who haven't captured it right now. Planetside 2, we have 3 different factions. You guys mostly know, I think, most of the critical specs of the game. But since the very beginning for us has been delivering the massive scale, epic warfare gameplay without sacrificing any of the moment-to-moment FPS action to be able to do it. And those of you who played the game have, I think, really gotten a chance to see that in action and see that promise kind of being fulfilled. But what we haven't talked about a tremendous amount so far is what makes the game into an MMO. What kind of persistent elements are there? What sort of strategic elements are there that really give that game depth, give this game depth beyond just the moment-to-moment gameplay. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, while we're actually showing you this mission that you guys are going to get to check out later. So Adam's going through right now, and he went to a vehicle terminal. This is how in the game you acquire a vehicle. So you can see here that there's a huge range of customizations that he's able to get. And we're going through some visual customizations right now. Later on, we'll go into the store and talk a little bit about how these are acquired. But as a free-to-play game, one of the things that's been really, really important to us is making sure that we draw a distinction between the things that you can pay for and the things that you can earn through gameplay. Can you hear? Is it a little too quiet? Let me switch over to this other thing and see if it works better. Is this one better? Is it the same thing? I think it's turned up all the way, but yeah, so I thought about this and those and there. Sorry. Can you turn down a little bit out? See, well, this is why I say we need to practice. Alright, next. So hopefully this is a little bit better. Any of this stuff that you feel like you didn't get exactly about later when we're doing the demo back in our offices, and I'll talk about any of this stuff more in depth with you. So what Adam was showing a little bit earlier was some of the cosmetic customizations that are there, but we also have lots of gameplay customizations that are available. So one of the keys for us is making sure that all of our gameplay customizations are balanced against one another. So while you can get a flamethrower for the tank or a flat cannon for the tank, none of them are particularly more strong or less strong than other things. They just kind of allow for different personalization of your playstyle. And that's really key to us because we want to maintain a really strong competitive landscape. We're not just an FPS that's all about having thousands of players on the server at once. We're an FPS that's really about having a truly competitive experience with thousands of players on the server at the same time. So while there's a huge amount of growth that characters can go through, there's a tremendous amount of things that they can unlock. None of them, he's got a hover in here, like a zero hover event, which is funny. There's a tremendous amount of stuff that you can unlock. None of it really gives you this huge power advantage like you see in a lot of other MMOs where a level 60 character can walk up to a level 1 character and sneeze on them and they die. We want to maintain kind of about a 20% difference between the most powerful a character can be and the least powerful a character can be. Now, obviously if you're in a tank, you're going to be a lot more than 20% more powerful than a dude just standing in front of you. But all of these things are situational. Sometimes an infantry character is a lot more powerful than a tank, just totally depending on what sort of strategic situation they're in. So anyhow, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of play-by-play here, I guess, but you can see that Adam's gotten out of his tank, and he's now running around as an infiltrator. Infiltrator is one of 6 different classes that we have in the game. Each one have their own unique roles to fulfill within the game. They have their own unique weapons they can unlock, their own unique abilities. He's playing as infiltrator right now as a sniper, which is one of the roles that you can play. And he has a squad mate that doesn't know to not stand in front of the sniper, I guess. But you can also play this character as a very stealth-oriented character, where, like you saw in the trailer, you sneak into an area and you just stab guys instead. So I'm trading off the ability to bring a big sniper rifle with me for the ability to have a more effective cloak. So all those sort of things really let you tailor your gameplay style. And you're going to hear me talking about that a lot, because it's really critical to us. We want players to be able to get into this game, find the role that fits them the best, find a group of players that use those roles, and really be able to play it exactly the way that they want. One of the things that's really amazing about Planetside as a game, I'm talking about the original Planetside, is it just celebrated its 9th year anniversary. That's good. So, as you can see, one of the methods that we have in the game for getting back into the game is squad spawning via drop pod. And you can use that drop pod very effectively to destroy other stuff, although there's a bit of a sacrifice involved in doing it too. So that was a pretty cool example of doing that. Good job, Adam. Finally. You did awesome, Adam. Perfect. So here we have, okay, he's going through his character loadouts. So similar to vehicles like you saw earlier today, there's a large amount of cosmetics that are available in here. But there's also things like different kinds of personal shields that you can swap out. And these are going to give you things like maybe a stronger shield that lasts less time. Or maybe a shield that's really good against explosive damage if you're trying to play as an anti-tank character, but not very good against large caliber bullets, so a sniper's going to be able to get right through that shield really quickly. All these sort of things just allow players to completely decide what's important to them at any given moment. You see here a lot of these weapons still have placeholder icons. We haven't gone through and created all the final icons for these yet, but we do have all the different sorts of certifications for them, all the ways that you can actually customize them. So one of the really neat things about weapons is each one of your characters, each one of your classes, starts off with a default weapon. So for instance, he has this particular sniper rifle as his default for the NC. But he can get all sorts of different side grade weapons that not only unlock new gameplay types, maybe it's a bolt action one that does more damage, but it's bolt action, so you have to reload it every time you fire. But that weapon also comes with its own certification tree. So all these different add-ons that you're seeing for those weapons, so different scopes, different utility attachments, all of those are unlocked just by gaining experience, earning certification points, and putting them in there. So each time you get a new weapon, you have a huge amount of additional character growth that you've unlocked too. That really lets us have that long-term, players are able to play the game and constantly have things that they're working for. They never feel like they're capped out. And that was one of the things on Planetside Live that we learned. A lot of the things that we've done with Planetside 2 came from learnings on Planetside Live, is players played a lot, and they eventually got to the point where they didn't have anything new to strive for except for just the conquest gameplay of capturing bases and stuff. We wanted to make it so that you always have relevant character advancement that you can be doing alongside that gameplay too. So new weapons come out in the game. If you unlock a new, I want a rapid fire silenced carbine rifle, I can get that, and now I get all sorts of different attachments. So that's really interesting. One of the things that we're doing with side grade weapons too is, for instance, that carbine rifle that I just mentioned, you might be able to have 10 different carbines as a TR light assault character. And each one of those is going to have access to different types of attachments. So they won't all have access to everything. Some might have access to more, but they trade that off, that versatility that they have with different attachments, for maybe having less damage or a lower total amount of ammo. Oh man. But all of those trade-offs are completely up to the player. And I think that's something that's really key to us, is allowing players to just make sure that they have just tons and tons of options and tons of breadth of gameplay that they can go through. So I guess Adam's getting an airplane now. Adam has his own meme amongst the Planetside community for not being able to fly airplanes, so we'll see how well this goes. They actually call it clanging up when he crashes airplanes, so. Yeah, you can see at nighttime too, this is one of the really, really, I think, huge aspects of Planetside, is not only do we have a massive open world, but we have a completely persistent world too. So time of day actually matters a lot. As time of day progresses and it's nighttime, things like night vision are really important. Things like headlights on your vehicle are really important, because you're not going to be able to drive outside of these base areas where it's dark if you don't have it. So it really does affect gameplay, and it makes you decide what sort of things you want to have unlocked, what sort of items you need for any given tactical situation. And each time you come to this base, it's going to be a little bit different. It's not always going to be fighting it the same way, because sometimes the sun might be behind that base, and approaching it from a certain angle isn't going to work very well, because there's going to be too much glare. Those sort of world-related things, and we have a lot more of them. Those sort of world-related things are something that we're really putting a lot of emphasis on and adding a lot to. It's making these battles feel really dynamic, and the areas that you're fighting in feel really changing. So you're never fighting the same thing twice. One of the things that we're going to be adding post-launch, for instance, is a weather system that allows us to do things like have sandstorms come in. And when the sandstorm comes in, your minimap might not work as well. So you have a really distinct gameplay functionality that's changing just based on the state of the world. You should have stopped playing, dude. You're doing good at playing. So we can see now that he's actually inside of the bar. Capturing these bases is sort of like a conquest gameplay. So if you're familiar with conquest games like Battlefield 3, for instance, this map is about the size of what you'd expect to see in a battlefield conquest game, it's actually fairly large. If you can get to a safe spot, pop open the map really quick. Yeah, good luck. You got your homies following you there. So you guys can see here that the area that he's in, can you zoom in just on that one region? This area that he's in right here is a fairly huge area. This whole map is 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers, so 64 square kilometers of gameplay space. And it's completely non-instant, so if you wanted to hop into an airplane and fly from one corner to the other, you could. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. He can be participating in multiple battles. He can be, as a Galaxy pilot, ferrying players from one area to another. And so capturing the space isn't just about flipping these tiles over either. When you capture this base, not only do you earn resources from that base for the moment-to-moment actions of capturing the base, but once you hold this base, it belongs to your empire, and you continue to earn resources from it until someone comes and takes it back. Those resources are used for things like unlocking new slide rate weapons, or buying new grenades, or getting vehicles from the vehicle terminal. So resources have a really important strategic gameplay sense because you can go and deny resources to your enemies too. If you decide that a certain type of enemy who has access to a certain type of weapon on their vehicle is just too powerful, well, that's so good. There's things that you can do to make it so that that weapon isn't available to your enemies anymore. You basically can deny that resource by going and capturing the bases that yield that resource, and then deplete your enemies from being able to acquire the vehicle attachments.